Do you remember where you were November 22nd, 1963? I do. I was on the playground at Tyler Elementary in Beeville, Texas. I was playing up in a mesquite tree next to the central cafeteria when some of my buddies came out and said, "Hey, have you heard? President Kennedy's been shot." We were like, "What? What are you talking about?" "Yeah, President Kennedy was shot." President Kennedy had gone to Dallas, Texas on a campaign tour and was riding in an open convertible. He was shot down by an assassin on Daly Street in downtown Dallas. We were all shocked and couldn't believe it. His death would change America forever. He joined the Navy in 1941 and was in World War II in the Pacific. His PT boat was run over and split in half by a Japanese destroyer. Several of his crew were killed and many were injured. He towed one of his men back to shore on an island by putting the life jacket straps in his teeth, swimming to shore at night. This video will be paying a tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy and what he did for America. We're glad you're here. In the decades since his life and his death, his legacy has shaped the nation. John F. Kennedy was born May 29, 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts. He grew up in a big, competitive Irish Catholic family, the second of 9 children. His father, Joseph Kennedy, pushed his kids hard. His mother, Rose, raised them with strong faith and discipline. Young Jack, as they called him, was often sick, but he was tough. He served in the Navy during World War II, commanding PT 109 in the Pacific, where his boat was hit by that Japanese destroyer. After Kennedy got his men all ashore, they spent several days on the beach and at night would go out in the water trying to flag down any passing ships. At the same time, trying to avert being spotted by any Japanese cruisers in the area. They managed to find some natives on the island that spoke English, and he got a coconut and carved a message on it for them to take back to some people that maybe he could be rescued by. The act of courage he portrayed would follow him for the rest of his life. The bravery that he exuded during that time earned him several honorable medals. After the war, Kennedy entered politics. First, he became a congressman in 1947. Then he became a senator shortly after that. Kennedy was young, good-looking, and spoke with a vision for America that felt fresh and hopeful after the hard years of war. In 1960, he ran for president against Richard Nixon, and it was one of the closest elections in American history. Something new had happened. The first televised presidential debate. Nixon looked tired. Kennedy looked confident. Millions of Americans saw him and thought, "Man, that's my president." On January 20th, 1961, JFK became the 35th president of the United States, the youngest man ever elected to the office. Kennedy's presidency lasted just over 1,000 days, but it was packed with defining moments. In his inaugural address, he spoke the famous words that still ring today.
"Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country."
The world stood on the edge during the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, and Kennedy's steady leadership helped prevent nuclear war. Though cautious at first, JFK began pushing stronger for racial equality. In 1963, he said, "This nation must provide equal rights to all citizens." Kennedy also boldly declared America would land a man on the moon 7 years later.
"I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth."
Even though he never lived to see it, we did. Americans loved his youthful energy. His wife, Jackie, brought grace and culture to the White House. Together, they gave the country a sense of hope, a feeling many still call today Camelot. On that bright, clear Friday morning in Dallas, Texas, The President and First Lady flew in to connect with voters for the upcoming 1964 election. Thousands lined the streets just to get a glimpse of him. At 12:30 p.m., riding in an open convertible through Daley Plaza, 3 shots rang out. Chaos, screaming, Secret Service agents jumping onto the car. Kennedy slumped into Jackie's arms. The motorcade raced to the Parkland Memorial Hospital, where at 1 p.m., John F. Kennedy was pronounced dead. America froze. Homes across the nation fell silent. People wept openly in the streets. Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America who brought the evening news each day, fought the tears back as he broke the news on live television. Just 70 minutes after the assassination, a suspect was arrested. Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine who had defected to the Soviet Union and returned to the United States. 2 days later, as he was being transferred from the city jail, Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner, stepped forward and shot Oswald on live television right in front of the police. The nation watched in disbelief. Questions swirled instantly, and they've been swirling ever since. Was Oswald the lone gunman? Was there a conspiracy? The Warren Commission said Oswald acted alone, but even today, Americans are divided. There's a lot of controversy on what actually happened and who was behind it. Nothing has been proven, and in fact, all of the records were sealed for over 50 years, and no one had access to them until just lately. John F. Kennedy was only 46 years old, but his impact has lasted for generations. His call to service still inspires Americans. His push for civil rights paved the way for the movement that followed, and his moonshot vision reshaped science and exploration. His tragic death reminded the nation how fragile life and leadership can be. There's a reason people still speak of Camelot. It represents hope, promise, potential, and a moment in time when a young president encouraged America to aim higher, dream bigger, and believe we could do great things together. This is the story of John F. Kennedy, his rise to leadership, his death, and his legacy, which lasts to this day. We remember not just the tragedy, but the man, his life, his death, and the legacy and things he believed in. This is Pop, and this is a moment in history that's worth remembering. Pop's out. Adios, amigos.